Alright, so here's the first part of Surd multiplication. So I think the visual and the comparison, of course, is to just take it back to regular numbers. And so if we visualise what does this actually mean, what might it look like? Well, we can think of it as an area. Here's 2, and here's 2 pieces. So really it's the area of this rectangle. And the idea is, of course, we know this is 2 times by 7, right? So this is 2 times 7, which is 14. And of course, we can split up into 2 times 3, and then 2 times the 4. And in the grid, we've got 2 times 3 is 6, 2 times 4 is 8. And you can see that 8 plus 6 is 14. So the grid method works, and it kind of even works for when we have negatives in there. I mean, the visual isn't brilliant, and there's ways of improving on the visual, but if we just take a grid system like this, and here's 8, and here's minus 3, and of course we know that this answer is 3 times by 5, so we know that's 15, but the grid method, 3 times 8 is 24, 3 times negative 3 is negative 9, and 24 subtract 9 is 15. We get that by 3 times 8, then 3 times negative 3, and here are answers. So the grid methods works even with negatives in there. So we can actually just extend that grid method into algebra, and we can extend it also into surds. So the first one we will do with the grid method, and then the rest we will just move away from the grid method, but you know that you can always get back to the grid method if you want. So root 2 corresponds to one side of the rectangle, and then we've got root 2 plus root 3, so root 2 on this piece, and then root 3 on this piece. If we don't put a sign before the roots, we know they're positive. And then we go ahead and multiply to find the answers in the middle. So this is root 2 times root 2, and you guys are absolutely brilliant now, you just know that's 2. And then you can take your time with this. This is root 2 times root 3, so you can actually put the multiplication in. Oh, right, okay, root 2 times root 3, that's just root 6. So our final answer here is 2 with the root 6, but just as in the previous questions, we are going to just add them together. Now let's do the next one. And this one I'm going to just change the system slightly. I am just going to move away from the grid. And I'm going to make sure that when I multiply this, it's a negative, right? And the first term is this root 3. And I'll just do one more colour here. Alright, so black times blue, then black times green. Alright, let's have a look. So the answer will be the root 3 times by the 6. And then we'll have a negative, and then we'll have the root 3 again. And that'll be times by, in green, that'll be the 2 times root 3. Okay, now let's just move to the same. Well, yeah, I think on the first answer here, it would make sense to put the 6 first. So this is 6 times by root 3. Nothing we can do with that, really. And then the next one, I think it makes sense to change the order. Remember, multiplication can be done in any order. It's commutative. So we'll put the 2 first, then we'll put the green root 3, and then we'll put the black root 3 as a subtraction. And then I'll just keep in the same colour to finish it off with. This is 6 times root 3. There you go, 6 root 3. And this, can you see, root 3 times root 3 will be 3. But then we've got the 2 times by 3, which is 6. We've got negative 6. So the final answer is 6 root 3 minus 6. Those of us who are fancy, you could take out 6 as a common factor. And this would be root 3 minus 1. That would be a cheeky last step, but not necessary at this stage. A few more. Again, I'll just go straight to the negative root 2 times the first thing in the bracket, then negative root 2 times the second thing in the bracket. So negative root 2 times the first thing in the bracket, plus negative root 2 times the second thing in the bracket. I'll put a little 3 there. Okay, so we've got root 2 times root 2, which is 2, but there's a negative behind it. Plus minus, we replace with a subtraction or negative. And again, look, we've got root 2 times 3. We can switch the order. That is 3 times by root 2. We can't go any further because of course, what we're seeing here is just a number, and over here we're seeing root 2's, so we cannot put those together. And let's do the final one now for this first video. Go back here, maybe a little red. So I'm seeing a negative root 3 here. I'm seeing a positive 7. And I'm seeing a negative 2 root 3. So let's go again then. Root 3 times the 7. But remember it's a negative. So negative root 3 times by the 7. And then I've got a negative root 3 times a negative 2 root 3. Wow, whew. That looks quite complicated. So let's do the first piece. This will be negative 7 root 3. And then the second one, we've got negative times the negative, which is a positive. We'll put the 2 first, then we'll put the root 3, then the root 3. And you can see, can't you, that the root 3 times root 3 is 3. We've still got the 2 here. At the start, we've got negative 7 root 3. Plus here, these are all equivalent, and the final answer then for is negative 7 root 3 plus 6. Hope that helps.